G'day everybody, I hope you all had a wonderful week. My name is Jay and welcome back to another episode of Coffee, Cameras and Chill, where we drink coffee, we talk about camera related stuff, all while keeping it nice and chill on a lovely weekend morning. We've got a lot to cover today, but first, before we do anything else, let's talk about what is in my filter right now. Today I've got the Brazil Renato Rodriguez. Sorry, I butchered the name. It's a Brazil Renato Rodriguez, and it is roasted by Headlands Coffee, a wonderful roastery here in Sydney. It is a natural pea berry, and I gotta say, I haven't had natural in a while, but it's always really refreshing to go from, washed coffee to a natural. I can't have naturals all the time, but when I do have naturals, it is like, just wonderful. Really rich, sweet, aromatic, and yeah, fantastic pea berry coffee. We got a lot to cover in this video, but doing some housekeeping first of all. Thank you guys for always supporting this channel. You know who you are. Recently, I haven't been doing a lot of videos. Things have been slowing down. A lot of things have been going on in my life. Like I think I remember mentioning in one of my previous videos that I would be slowing down quite a bit in 2024, and yeah, I kind of held on to that. A lot of things have been going on, and I've been doing a lot of housekeeping and just not putting a lot of effort into YouTube and making videos. So, can't apologize for that. It really is got to take care of my life problems first. But yeah, let's talk about cameras. First of all, I didn't really make a video on this, but yes, I have transitioned from my Fujifilm X-T4 to a Panasonic S5 IIX. I have mentioned it in some of my previous videos, but I haven't really made an official video about it. I don't think I ever will. This camera is going to replace the X-T4 as being my primary video camera. And many reasons why I upgraded. First of all, the Panasonic is a full frame. It is also a hybrid camera, but on the video side of things, it is a lot more capable, and it has also more room to kind of grow as I become a better videographer as well. Another reason why is the Fujifilm X-T4 was a fantastic camera, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of great things about that camera that I do miss, but it was kind of limiting in terms of certain things, and yeah, it wasn't giving me the results that I wanted. One of the main issues on the X-T4 is a really good segue into the next topic that we're going to talk about right now, and it is about the recent Fujifilm controversies. Now, if you've been on YouTube and you follow a lot of Fujifilm users, and you watch their videos, chances are you would have stumbled upon a few people voicing their opinions about the autofocus issues that have been popping up with the latest firmware on the Fujifilm. I think it was the X-H2S. And it's been blowing up. A lot of people have been really concerned about it and frustrated and annoyed. I get the feelings, and it hasn't really come to light. Like the autofocus on Fujifilm cameras has always been not as great as other camera brands. It's only recently with this kind of botched firmware update that people have really started to come out and talk about this issue and bring it to light. So I just want to give my 2 cents about it. I was considering making a video about this topic, but I'm going to bite my tongue and not make a dedicated video because I don't want to be on Fujifilm's bad books. I do want to potentially continue a relationship with Fujifilm, as I still own a Fujifilm X100V, and I love this camera for what it is, a photography camera. But let's talk about the autofocus, okay? So the autofocus issues are not new. It's been around for a long time. My Fujifilm X-T4, which I was going to mention earlier, has autofocus issues as well, specifically face tracking and eye tracking. It really fails to deliver at times when you really need it to. So let's say, for example, I'm doing a talking head like this. In order to get face tracking to work better or to the best of its capabilities, I need to have the focus box also put around my head so that Fujifilm has a better idea of where it needs to be focusing, just in case the face and eye tracking don't work properly. So, and even then, I want to say this, and even then, it doesn't always work. It used to hunt all the time. Like it would kind of second guess itself at times. Like periodically, it'll just be like, oh, Fujifilm X-T4 will be like, oh, am I really focusing on Jay's eyes or face? Let me double check. And it'll just kind of just go out of focus and then come back into focus on my eye again. And it's just those small things that really annoy me, especially when I'm like editing the video. On the screen, on the camera, I can't really see it, but when I go edit the videos, then it's really, really obvious, and it really pissed me off because sometimes you need that shot, and if it just starts hunting, then you can't use it, and you have to put B-roll over it to kind of mask it out. So autofocus issues have never been like a weird thing. Like it's not new. Fujifilm also has issues with their apps. It's been a long-running issue. They've tried to update, but with each iteration, it doesn't seem to improve that much. It's like they don't really fix the problem at its core. They're just kind of trying to patch things up as they go. And I feel like that's one of the main weaknesses that Fujifilm is suffering from right now. So the issue with the X-H2S coming out with a firmware that is like significantly worse than the original firmware that it came with, that's a big problem, because this has never happened in the course of Fujifilm history. At least I don't think it has. Every time we upgrade our cameras, yes, there's going to be bugs that need to be stamped out, but it's never as like crazy as like my autofocus has just now become instantly worse than before. So yeah, a lot of people are chiming in on this, and I feel like that's a good thing because it kind of slowly will eventually get to Fujifilm, and hopefully with enough people backing this issue, Fujifilm will really sit down and try to kind of diagnose the situation and really reassess where their priorities lie in terms of how do we make our customer base satisfied. Which leads me to my next point, which is what I think Fujifilm should be doing at this point. You know, it's nice that Fujifilm is still innovating and coming up with new cameras. As I'll mention later on in the video, there seems to be some new models of cameras coming in the near future. Personally, I think that Fujifilm needs to dial back on, you know, trying to innovate on the hardware side of things and really sit down, focus more R&D and all this, like their attention on the software and firmware side of things. For so long, we've been wanting a better app experience. The Fujifilm X app just doesn't work well with certain cameras. Like my Fujifilm X100V connects to the app, but it takes forever. And sometimes when it connects and I want to do certain things, it just lags, and sometimes it just wigs out entirely. So I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't used it since, and I don't intend to use it until Fujifilm completely fixes it and I hear about it from someone else, because at this point, every time I open the app, it's just going to make me angry. In terms of firmware, I really do hope that Fujifilm overhauls their entire autofocus system, or their autofocus issues. I don't know how hard that is from a software point of view. Obviously, because the lenses are designed a certain way, the sensors are designed a certain way, their processor is a certain. I'm not a technical guy. I don't do this sort of stuff, so I don't know how hard it is. But I really do hope that Fujifilm puts a lot more effort into stamping out these glaring issues and making their existing customer base happy, because the longevity of a camera brand relies on the happiness of their customers, and it's not going to benefit Fujifilm if all they're doing is continuing to release new cameras to try and get new customers to come into their user base, and leaving all the existing customers sad and angry because they've purchased the camera from them, and now it's just sitting there collecting dust because it doesn't do what they want it to do. And Fujifilm is not attempting to fix the issue at all. So I really, really hope, Fujifilm, if you're listening, and I doubt you're listening, but if you're listening to this, just a word of, advice or like just consumer concern, please focus on your firmware, please focus on your software, improve them, and it'll make a lot of people very, very, very happy, and it'll make us continue to want to support you in the future and all the models that are to come. If you start releasing newer models of cameras that do much better than their older models of cameras, you're really going to piss off a lot of the customer base. And yeah, I personally would also feel pretty bad about it too, knowing that I'd have to buy a new camera in order to get the benefits of what I'm talking about right now. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about in terms of what I think Fujifilm should do. I reckon Fujifilm should really speed this up, because right now, it used to be the fact that Fujifilm had a dominance in the APS-C market in terms of, the uniqueness of the cameras and all that stuff. But now things are starting to change. Things are slowly starting to become, challenged by other camera brands. You've got Sony coming in with their A7C Mark II, which is in its own right a fantastic camera. Me personally, I don't use Sony for certain reasons, but I can understand why a lot of people love this camera. First of all, Sony has so much support for other lenses. There's so many lens options that can be adapted to Sony cameras. Their autofocus is like top notch. I don't think anyone can compare at the moment. And yeah, aside from being more like feeling like you're using a computer rather than a camera, you really can't fault those cameras. And the A7C Mark II is in such a compact body, and the ecosystem, like the microphone that it comes with and all that stuff, it's all really, really nice. As a package, it's the ideal camera that you can take around with you and shoot, as in terms of photography, but it can also do videography as well. In the other hand, you got Panasonic releasing their Lumix S9, which is, a lot of people are questioning this camera due to certain features that it has, but I personally see a lot of benefits and a lot of value in that camera. First of all, the camera body itself is a lot more compact than even the X100 cameras, if you're just like kind of comparing it. But of course, full frame lenses and all that stuff can be a little bit bigger, but I think in time you're going to get third-party manufacturers jumping on, like Sigma or even Panasonic themselves, coming out with more lenses that are tailored for the S9, being more compact, being more low profile. And I think it's just going to get better over time, because the S9 is a full frame. It is very, very good in terms of video capabilities, just as good as the Lumix S5 that I'm shooting on right now. So it's got the best of both video and photo. All it needs is some nice compact lenses, and then it just like, I don't see Fujifilm having that much control over that niche anymore. Even Nikon's come out with the full frame ZF, and the ZF is like a retro and like inspired by one of its old film cameras, and it just looks so good. Everyone's been raving on about it. Everyone's been praising that camera for what it is. And I personally also see the desire and the value of that camera. I also held it in my hand. I've used it. Autofocus is amazing. Video quality is great. Like, there's really not much to fault about that camera. And the price is just fantastic. Like, you're looking at a camera that costs just over $3,000 for a full frame, right? And Fujifilm X100VI is coming in close at $3,000. And if you weigh up the, cost to value ratio, there's a lot of cameras out there that have much better ratios than Fujifilm. So Fujifilm really needs to understand this and really buckle down and just focus on improving their cameras to a point where our existing customers are happy, new users who's come into the system are happy, everyone's happy, and people will continue buying Fujifilm cameras, because, still to this day, I said all those things about these other brands making these compact cameras. Fujifilm still makes some of the prettiest compact cameras on the market. And currently there's no competition. The other pretty camera on the market is a Leica, but then you'll be paying like quadruple the price. So, or triple the price. I don't know. I don't know how much Leicas are going for these days. They always go up in value, so it's like whatever. Moving on. Okay, we're still talking about Fujifilm, but we're going to be talking about the future of Fujifilm. So Fujifilm rumors, as Fuji rumors have been talking about maybe potentially Fujifilm coming out with a new camera body or bringing back an old camera body called the XM series. I don't know much about this line of cameras personally. All I know is that it is a compact, interchangeable body with a flippy screen. That's all I know up till now. I don't know how it's going to kind of sit in the lineup when there's an XE series as well. Fujifilm might just ditch the SE series. Who knows? I'm not sure about this camera. I personally would have rather preferred Fujifilm innovate elsewhere. Say focus on their software and firmware rather than making a new camera body like that. There's also rumors about a new GFX fixed lens rangefinder style camera coming out. It'll be like something like a X100 series, but medium, like large format style, which is kind of exciting, I guess. But I really don't see a lot of people who could kind of justify or afford something like that, because it is very niche. It is super, super duper niche. And yes, while it is innovative, at the same time, I don't see it getting a lot of sales because either people just can't afford it or they'd rather have another alternative, right? And then the other hope is that next year Fujifilm will announce their, I guess, long-awaited and very, very popular amongst the niche camera, the X Pro 4. We don't know much about what the X Pro 4 is going to be like, but at this point, you know, I really do hope that Fujifilm rethinks the way they manufacture the X Pro 4. I feel like we could just get rid of the video features entirely on that camera, because let's be honest, I don't think many people use the X Pro 4 as a video camera in the first place. So having that feature there is just like, let's not bother with that, okay? Let's just focus our attention on making the best possible photographic experience for the user. And I feel like that's what the X Pro 4 should be. And it will encourage people to buy the X Pro 4 if it is more tailored towards a pure photographic experience. It will probably be the closest thing to a Leica you could get at a much lower price point. And I think if they remove all the video features, it could also help bring the price down, because you save on the R&D and all that stuff that are required for video. So yeah, really, really hope that Fujifilm thinks hard about making this X Pro 4 amazing. The X Pro 3 was interesting, but I really do hope that Fujifilm takes the advice or the loyal customer feedback and just makes a camera that, you know, no other camera brand can hold a candle to. So of course, after I recorded that video, Fuji Rumors comes out with an article saying that there is rumors that Fujifilm is making a completely new camera with a sensor that they have never made before. And then Fujifilm comes up with an announcement that they're hosting a summit and they will be announcing firmware updates for certain cameras. And in my mind, I'm still of the thought that it's not going to be as amazing as you'd think. Now, obviously, new hardware is always an exciting thing, but if the autofocus is the same as all the other Fujifilm cameras that they have right now, it's still gonna flop. No, well, it's not gonna flop. It's still going to disappoint, right? Existing customers might buy it, new people will buy it, and then they'll realize that while the sensor size might be great or not great, depending on what sensor they release, the autofocus still matters, right? And if they don't improve the autofocus, then nothing matters. And this new firmware update for certain models of cameras, namely the XH2S and the other XH and GFX, I don't know which cameras, I can't remember. But if these firmware updates don't live up to the hype, and they still don't deliver the kind of autofocus that people want, or if the firmware kind of just goes back to what the firmware was in version 1.0, then people are still going to be very disappointed, right? There's only so many strikes you can make before people start losing hope, basically. And I really do hope that Fujifilm has done the R&D, have done the required testing to make sure that the autofocus works well before announcing these things and releasing it in November. I really, really do hope that Fujifilm does well, and we can only hope to see what they come up with. So yeah, Future Jay signing off. So that's all the camera stuff that I have to talk about. I tried to, keep it as short and concise as possible, even though I've started to ramble. I can feel myself ramble. Let's now talk about certain things, channel related things. So if you stuck around this long, chances are you are dedicated to this channel. You enjoy me as a personality, and you follow me not just for my tutorials, which is what I need to talk about right now. I haven't been making a lot of tutorials lately. And I'll be honest, making tutorials for Fujifilm is a very tedious task. And at this point in time, I feel like I have exhausted almost everything that I feel like I want to teach other people about the Fujifilm camera. Now, I'm personally someone who believes that in order to truly enjoy a camera system, you got to figure things out for yourself. Like, there's only so much hand holding you should get before you start to, take the wheel and just go at it yourself, figure things out, trial and error. Because in order to truly appreciate a system, figuring things out yourself will bring that sentiment and will bring that kind of value to you, and it'll make you feel more attached to that camera. The things that I have taught, the things that I have made videos about for the X100V, I feel like is just enough for people to know, some of the trickier things to overcome for this camera body. But then after that, I feel like any other things, you could probably very easily figure things out on your own, or read the manual and just diagnose it yourself. I don't feel like it needs a dedicated video to address that. I'm not one of those YouTubers who will milk it until milk it right into the ground and keep making multiple videos and try to get you to view it, because the longer you stay on YouTube watching videos about the camera, the less you're outside actually taking photos with this camera. So it doesn't benefit you at all. The best practice is to just go outside and take photos and experiment, right? And if you're sitting on YouTube watching countless videos, you're not really doing that, are you? So understand that I will make tutorials when needed. And at this point, I've exhausted the tutorials for the X100VI. I've made other tutorials for other X series cameras. So I hope you guys enjoy those tutorials. And if you want to support me every time you watch a tutorial and you find it interesting or useful and get value out of it, make sure to buy me a coffee to show your appreciation. One coffee is great. It will support me for a very, very long time, and it'll support the ongoing success of this channel. In terms of other videos that I want to make for this channel, I am actually not sure. There's so much going on in my life right now that I need to focus my attention on, that I don't really feel like I'll have a lot of time to make a lot of interesting videos for this channel for now. And I'm going to be completely transparent about that, because I might be gone for a few months. I might be gone for maybe even a year. Who knows? But just don't be surprised if that happens. Just know that I haven't forgotten about this channel. It's more like I'm taking care of personal business, and I'm coming back when I feel ready to come back and when my mind's in that right place to make the good videos. I don't want to keep making, videos of no value to you guys. So, I just feel like I need some time to process things, and then when I'm ready, I will continue making new videos for this channel. In terms of making Fujifilm content or other camera content, I don't know. I've got a Panasonic now. Maybe I should focus on making Panasonic video content. I've got some film cameras. Maybe I should make some film camera content. It's all over the place at the moment, and the algorithm is not favoring me, but who cares? I'm just in it to enjoy myself, and I want you viewers to also find me and enjoy the content that I make. So that's about enough rambling about the channel. Thank you very much for, sitting with me today, having a coffee with me, and just listening to me talking about camera stuff for the last 20 or 30 minutes. My name is Jay, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.